Two Greek organizations, both on cease and desist, and both for different reasons. We'll tell you what for.
Plus, recent crime within the unhoused community has some, including City Council, asking what can be done to combat the problem before it starts.
And the police and fire relocation project is now on hold. Why Mayor Thompson said the plan needs changed. Hoosier News Source starts now.
Hello and welcome to Hoosier News Source. I'm Lacie Carr.
And I'm Shelby Brown. Just a month into the new semester, but two Greek organizations have found themselves under investigation.
The latest, Beta Sigma Psi, for a laundry list of reasons. Our Callie Lichter has been working to get more information and joins us with the latest. Callie.
Thanks, guys. I'm outside of Beta Sigma Psi fraternity, which was just placed on cease and desist for hazing on Monday. Before the Greek disciplinary log was changed Tuesday morning, the reasons listed for cease and desist were for forced consumption of substances, physical abuse, and sexual harassment. Beta Sigma Psi has been on disciplinary probation since January 19th for dishonest conduct, harassment, and hazing. In a statement to IUSTV News, Beta Sigma Psi headquarters said Beta Sigma Psi is aware of the cease and desist of our Omega chapter and expects all members to fully cooperate with investigations being conducted by Indiana University. The fraternity is also conducting an internal investigation. The alleged behavior stands in contrast to Beta Sigma Psi's values, and if substantiated, appropriate action will be taken. Reporting from outside Beta Sigma Psi, Callie Lichter, IUSTV News.
Callie, thanks. The Alpha Kappa Psi Business Frat was the other Greek organization to join the list. Hazing violations was the reason listed on IU's website. There are now 5 organizations currently on cease and desist. We're learning more about the information about the dead woman found in a ditch last week. An autopsy revealed 37-year-old Jane Sanders died from being hit by a car. The coroner said she was experiencing homelessness at the time of her death. Now Bloomington police are asking for your help to find the driver believed to have been involved in the accident. Police say it happened around 7 in the evening on January 27th. Witnesses say a dark-complected, male-aged man driving a dark-colored SUV said he thought he hit a deer. Anyone with information is asked to call the police.
This makes 3 deaths of people suffering homelessness in just 2 months.
It raises questions about how Bloomington cares for an incredibly vulnerable population and what works best to help them. Our Olivia Oliver looked into finding the answer and has that story. Olivia?
Shelby and Lacie, I just talked to just a few of the people on the front lines of this issue. They say the solution may be found before the problem ever even starts.
Dana Jones is the director of the Wheeler Mission Shelter here in Bloomington, where the number of people they help just keeps growing.
When we first initially came here in 2015, 2016, we were sheltering approximately 20 people per night, right, which grew to 40, which today is now 80 plus to 100 men staying with us every night, every evening. And so we've grown a lot in those years.
He says they're doing their best to get people's basic needs met. But with few staff and many in need, it's like bailing water in a ship that just keeps taking on more. But what if that overflow stopped at the source? Jones says the key to preventing homelessness is about relationships.
A CEO of one of the rescue missions out on the West Coast stated this. He said that one of the major causes of homelessness is the lack of healthy relationships. And we find that to be true. Because the better and the healthier your network of support is, the better you do.
In the case of Mark Widener, that was true. After being unhoused and years of substance abuse, Mark found community and faith at Wheeler Mission, where he now uses his experience to help others find it too.
But now I've seen in the 51 years of my path that God always had his hand on me, because everything I've been through, I'm now able to have empathy for our guests, because I've been in their shoes.
But preventing homelessness doesn't stop at that support. It's systematic, according to the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, and involves things like eviction protections and affordable housing. Something lacking here in Bloomington, where the average rent is between $1,100 and $1,500. City Councilwoman Isabel Piedmont Smith says she is all too aware of this.
Housing in Bloomington is notoriously expensive.
She said prevention tools like affordable housing need to be implemented here.
Whatever we can do to increase the number of affordable units, and here I mean truly affordable, so like 80% of area median income or less could afford it. The more we can do to encourage those units, the better.
As for what you can do,
I think just to be community-minded, educated, and get yourself in that position to be with others not like you. Volunteer in those positions, find places to serve. And those are really three good areas to start in.
This only covers a small portion of the situation, and there are many other tools experts cite to prevent homelessness. We'll have a full overview of this topic on our website, IUSTV.com, in the coming days.
The last stretch of a years-long storm drain project has forced the closure of several parking areas near Indiana Avenue. The project will increase the size of an underground culvert where the Campus River meets Indiana Avenue. The goal is to prevent the kind of flooding seen on Kirkwood Avenue in 2021. The parking lot will remain closed until August. Starting in May, Indiana Avenue will be closed between Kirkwood and 6th Street.
Another major project starts this week. Demolition of the remaining buildings at the old hospital site begins Friday. That's the area between 1st and 2nd Streets that will soon become the new Hopewell neighborhood. The city says the work will start every morning at 7 and stop by 5:30 in the evening and will adhere to the city noise ordinance. Demolition is expected to wrap up sometime in May.
Plans to move Bloomington Police and Fire Departments to the Showers building is now on hold. On Monday, the city's Redevelopment Commission rejected all contract bids for the project. Bloomington Mayor Carrie Thompson says the cost of the renovation is the main reason she wanted to pause the project.
To ensure the city's moving forward in a fiscally responsible way and addressing our long-term public safety needs, I pulled together a small group of residents to bring a fresh set of eyes to this project and advise the city on how to move forward.
Thompson says the plan is still a go for the fire department to move to the Showers complex.
A murder trial is officially underway for the man accused of gunning down another man at a Bloomington gas station in 2020. DeJuan Lamar Kelly is charged with murder, attempted murder, and carrying a handgun without a license. Court documents say Kelly shot and killed 39-year-old Michael Parker on June 7th in 2020. Kelly was found and arrested more than a month later in Kansas City, Missouri. If convicted, Kelly could face up to more than 100 years in prison. We'll, of course, keep you updated. The Bloomington woman charged with a federal hate crime for allegedly stabbing a Chinese-American IU student last year has been found competent to stand trial. 57-year-old Billy Davis requested a competency hearing in September. The evaluation was completed in December. A psychologist found her condition has improved and can help prepare her defense. The trial has been pushed to June. If convicted, she could spend the rest of her life in prison.
A Bloomington man is facing several charges after police say he posted threatening messages on X directed at IU President Pamela Whitten and several other local officials. Joseph Volker reportedly threatened Whitten, former Bloomington Mayor John Hamilton, and the Bloomington Police Chief. Police say they were able to track down Volker because his name and of Bloomington was in his bio. When police went to talk with Volker at his home, he barricaded himself. He is due back in court on March 21st.
A former IU football player will spend the next 2.5 years in prison after pleading guilty to robbing a man he met on the dating app Grindr. Deshaun Brown pled guilty to robbery in exchange for the other felony charges being dismissed. Court documents say Brown met a man through the app and he wore a face covering during the meet. He later held a knife to the victim's neck and forced him into the car. Brown took the victim to the ATM and took cash and several credit cards. He was arrested later that night. IU Athletics says he was on the 2021 football roster as a wide receiver.
Still to come on Hoosier News Source, a donation to the Monroe County Sheriff just might help save lives. We'll tell you how.
And an Indiana bill regulating when students can use a cell phone in class unanimously passes in the Senate. We'll give you an update on the other side of the break. The Indiana Senate unanimously passed a bill that would require school districts to create policies restricting when students can use cell phones during school hours. Senate Bill 185 mandates each device policy bans cell phones use during class instruction unless it's for educational reasons. Schools must also publish the policy on their website. Many schools, like Bloomington North and South High Schools, already have a no phone policy in place. The bill heads to the Indiana House.
A Columbus man could face serious federal charges for allegedly pointing a laser at planes heading toward Indianapolis. The Bartholomew County Sheriff says the department got several calls about the incident over the past week. On Saturday night, a deputy was driving on a highway when he noticed a laser being pointed out of a car. 49-year-old Christopher Clem was stopped and arrested on several charges, including meth possession. It is a federal crime to point a laser at a plane. The FAA and U.S. Air Marshals are investigating.
The Monroe County Sheriff Department's newest addition to their patrol cars and emergency vehicles is one that hopes to save many more lives. On January 25th, the Sheriff's Department received 60 automatic external defibrillators, or AEDs. With the help from the Monroe County Board of Commissioners and the Monroe County Council with the use of the general obligation bond, this purchase was facilitated. With these AEDs, the Sheriff's Department hopes to efficiently save more lives.
We can respond 2 to 3 minutes to a scene for a cardiac event, whereas your fire departments or EMS, they're not constantly on the move like us.
In addition to the AEDs, a trauma kit was also purchased and put in each patrol vehicle for officers who are first responders to a scene.
How accessibility friendly is Bloomington? That's a question recently passed city ordinance is asking. Our Emma Gladstone takes a look.
Bloomington recently passed a law stating that all public areas must require closed captions on their TV screens. Holly Elkins, a member of the deaf community, shares with us her thoughts on this law.
It's a good business point, I mean, for them to make their facility, to make their establishment accessible for all groups of people.
Holly believes that the future in accommodations and accessibility is only evolving from here.
People are becoming more aware of accessibility and, buying things that help. And, encouraging things to change. I mean, society is evolving and being more inclusive. We're not there yet, but there is progress.
And the process continues right here, where volunteers from ICANN work to promote accessible services for people with disabilities. Dogs are offered here at Indiana University. ICANN is the Indiana Canine Assistant Network, which was one of the first organizations to train service dogs in prison to offer the resources necessary for individuals. ICANN service dogs partner with Indiana University and offer both volunteer opportunities and service dogs for those in need. Anna Kelson, co-coordinator of ICANN, shares the importance of these dogs and one of her favorite memories from working with ICANN.
This dad who said that he didn't feel like he was able to be a dad because of an injury that prevented him from, he had issues with mobility, and eventually he got an ICANN service dog, and he said that it enabled him to get down on the floor and play with his kid, which he hadn't been able to do in years. And I don't know, it was a beautiful interview, but they just changed lives completely for their clients.
For more information on how Bloomington and IU create a more accessible community, visit studentlife.indiana.edu. Still to come on Hoosier News Source, premature birth rates are on the climb in the U.S. We'll tell you how big the increase is.
And will the sunshine and warmth make a return? Kayla has the forecast. We're back after this. Premature births in the U.S. are up by more than 10%, according to new numbers from the CDC. Babies are considered preterm if they are born before 40 weeks. The CDC did not say what might be driving this trend. Premature babies are at risk for short-term health issues like infections and breathing problems. They could also develop long-term conditions like asthma, hearing loss, and stomach problems.
Prices at the pump are once again on the way up. AAA says the national average for a gallon of regular is $3.15. That's a 4-cent hike from last month, but it's a 35-cent drop from this time last year. Experts say the rise is likely caused by rising oil costs and a higher demand from drivers.
Turning to weather now, we have been pretty lucky with some decent weather lately, but will it stick around?
Kayla Craig is in with the forecast. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, guys. We've definitely seen some ups and downs with the weather over these past couple weeks, but luckily today we can expect a pretty mild day. This afternoon we'll reach our high of 54 and clouds will be out for most of the day. Tomorrow night at 7, the women's basketball team takes on Michigan State at Assembly Hall, and we can expect a pretty rainy game day. Rain will begin around tip-off, continuing overnight, so if you're heading to Assembly Hall, you'll probably going to want to bring a rain jacket or an umbrella. As for the rest of the week, the rain from Thursday night will continue into Friday, and we get a bit of a break from the rain and sun on Saturday before it picks back up and we get those temperatures down in the 40s.
All right, Kayla, thank you. Next in sports, February is off to a tough start for the IU men's and women's basketball teams. We have the recap in sports after this.
Both IU basketball teams took sad losses over the weekend. Let's start with the men's. In a disappointing turn of events, the Indiana Hoosiers men's basketball team's NCAA tournament hopes took a severe hit with an 85-71 loss to Penn State on its home court. After a close win over Iowa last week, the Hoosiers failed to protect their home court against the Nittany Lions team, allowing 12 three-pointers. Coach Mike Wilson acknowledged the defensive struggles and the team's inability to consistently perform.
In the Big Ten Conference, we have been guarding the three pretty well. I mean, it's an indication that we've defended the three pretty well. I just thought tonight, second half, we were so flat coming out. I mean, something I hadn't seen.
Indiana led by double figures 3 different times in the first half, but got outscored in the second half. The 10th-ranked IU women's basketball team also faced a setback, falling to the 8th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes at Valley City Arena. Despite a late 12-4 run, IU's struggle against Iowa State's press defense led to a season-high 23 turnovers. The loss allowed the Buckeyes to pull ahead in the Big Ten standings. IU, led by Sarah Scalia's 25 points, couldn't capitalize on halftime's lead. Missing Sydney Parrish due to an injury, Lexis Bargesser started, contributing to 6 points. The Hoosiers aimed to bounce back against Michigan State at Assembly Hall on Thursday. Thank you. That's all we have for sports.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you for watching this week's Hoosier News Source.
As always, be sure to follow us on social media and check out IUSTV.com to stay up to all the latest news, weather, and sports.
Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you back here next week.